Steve Ditko, the creator of Spider-Man and Doctor Strange, passed away about 3 days ago. He was 90 years old. He was still working when he died. Um, his part in, my childhood and my love for comics really can't be measured. I always thought that Ditko drew human faces, especially, in a way that people outside of horror comics, and Ditko did draw some, horror sci-fi stuff, just did not draw people. It was fascinating to read Spider-Man stuff years ago and just look at some of the faces he drew in those comics. I mean, look at this guy's face. This is a spooky sci-fi story. But it's like these are the looks that Peter Parker would give the audience in certain things. I mean, just these looks of this is obviously a villain we're looking at. Surrounded by mouths. There's just something about how his faces looked. Oh, I love this. The early May and Ben mermaid story. Talking clouds. Spider-Man versus the Fantastic Four. But no, I remember being a teenager looking at some issue of Spider-Man and probably a Masterworks collection and being really creeped out just by the face Peter Parker was making at me. And that's the beginnings of Spider-Man. There's no Spider-Man shouldn't do that. Peter Parker shouldn't leer at you from the comics page. It was like that's what it was supposed to be. And maybe we definitely lost something important when Ditko died. I'm just enjoying flipping through this. Who inked this? Oh, it doesn't say. But yeah, this one looks a little bit overly inked. I'm just going to flip through until we get to some good Spider-Man stuff. It's sad to say, and I hope it was a reprint. I used to play with some kids that there was a torn-up copy of this annual on the floor of their house. Amazing Spider-Man Annual #1. One of, without a doubt, the greatest superhero comics ever done. Let's look at that Peter face. That's not one of his crazier... look at that. Mysterio. Yeah, I really didn't come up with a script for this. I'm just kind of taking this in right at this moment. Just looking at great scenes of Ditko. I hope, even though this is just being recorded on a cell phone, that you're enjoying looking at these snapshots. Oh, God, how cool that is. Just kind of falling into a flat plane. The webbing, too. I mean, this is not Spider-Man's webbing, but it's drawn by Ditko. Nobody else would ever do webbing like that. People like that McFarlane designed webbing now. But it was, Ditko drew the webbing. It was like, either it was a big web, but if it was like concentrated webbing, it was like holding static almost. Let's see if we can't find Spidey doing that. how he drew Harry Osborn there in the middle of that. Just, this was going to be a jerk character. I love that one of Peter. Patch. Yeah, there it is. See, it's just this kind of black line with a little bit of white on the outside of it, like fuzz on the screen of your television set. Gotta get through this last Spider-Man issue and we'll take a peek at some DC stuff by Ditko. Just smash it up, Spidey. And the webbing between his arms, too, which I miss. Coming up on what's considered to be one of the greatest scenes in comics ever drawn. Spidey's escape from under this big piece of machinery, which was brought to screen for the first time in the most recent Spider-Man movie, as of this recording, Spider-Man Homecoming. And the panels just get bigger and bigger. And again, look at that webbing, look at those shadows. And he lifts it. I did it. I'm free. This cost me a bunch of money to pick up the Action Hero Archives by Ditko, but I'm really glad that I did. I haven't read these, but I've flipped through them. This is when he worked for Charlton Comics, and then DC bought all these characters. This is Captain Atom here. Blue Beetle, which he designed that costume, which I believe Blue Beetle still wears. It's a fantastic costume. And then, of course, Doctor Strange. That's not Ditko there. There he is. Dormammu, the mindless ones. Just clever stuff. Trapped in a crystal. I've got this neat, you probably saw when I panned over, pocketbook of this with the panels done a little bit differently, but even, really tightly done. Oh, look at that. We lost one of the greats. Truly, truly did. Coincidentally, the day that Ditko probably died, I believe it was Thursday this week, Thursday the 5th, I bought my first comic that has original Ditko art in it, which is Batman 483. And you can correct me if you know better if this was a reprint of a story, but it was a demon story. Of course, Jack Kirby created the demon. And this is DC proper. The demon was always belonged to DC. Man-Bat, also by Steve Ditko in that. I'm looking forward to reading this. I got the issue before where it was actually drawn by Michael Golden. Anyway, those are my kind of scattered thoughts on the passing of Ditko. I hope you enjoyed this if you came across it on YouTube, and I will see you later.